I traveled Europe for 40 days with $500. What's up everyone? How are y'all doing? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I thought it would be a great idea to show you guys how I was able to travel Europe for 40 days with a budget of about like $500. It kind of like varies a little bit because there were some complications and stuff which wouldn't happen if you planned ahead, but I'm gonna go over everything that I did to make sure that I could keep it as cost effective as possible and also be able to get the most out of the whole experience. I'm gonna be talking about the flights, food, hostels, workaway, so like staying at places, transportation, and also touring. And I'm looking at my iPad so I know what I'm saying. But to start off, I'm gonna start with flights because obviously that's the first thing that you're gonna look into. And specifically, I'm located in close to Orlando, Florida, so that's where the airport that I go out of. But I will say the bigger the airport, the better and the cheaper. Also, travel when it's not like high season if you can, but no summer specifically, and also no like Christmas time because it is a pain in the butt. I would say maybe go like fall time and also springtime, which are like the two like mellow travel times. Next, what I use to basically find my flights, or at least the cheapest ones possible, I use Google Flights, so I'll insert like a little thing here. What I do is I will look for the flights. It's really like easy. You can change the dates, see which day is cheaper, which day isn't. But personally, I noticed that if you fly out of bigger cities, it's cheaper. So yeah, I think the cheapest flight round trip I found was about $280, which is super cheap considering you're going from like here all the way to France. So basically what you can do is like land at any of the airports where you want to start off at, you know, start in one corner of the continent or whatever you want to do, and then I'll get onto like the transportation aspect of it. What I did personally was we flew from Orlando to Paris, the Charles de Gaulle airport, which is kind of far from the city, but you know, they obviously have transportation to get from the city or from the airport to the city. So we got to the city, and then from the city they have bus stations where you can buy a ticket to almost any country in Europe, especially from Paris, which is like the bigger area. And also we have like metro places, so I will say the buses are cheap. So when we went from Paris to Lyon, which if you guys don't know where Lyon is, it's quite far. It's like an 6-hour drive if you were going by bus or car. Okay, so I had to look up the price, but from Paris to Lyon, this is actually a lot more expensive than I remember it being, but it is $17.99 in dollars. I'll link the site down below. It's called Flixbus, but there's another one called Omio, which kind of like groups all of the bus companies together. So yeah, it's very like affordable. The train tickets are a little more expensive. I remember them being like $80 or $90 that my mom paid to go from Lyon back to Paris. But basically for travel and transportation, what we would use are like bikes. The family that I was staying with, they had a bike that I could use, and so that's what I did. If not, I would just walk anywhere because in the city of Lyon, it's very much like kind of like New York a little bit. It's obviously a lot smaller, but you could really walk anywhere you want. They have scooters for rent. You'll see them like kind of falling on the sidewalks. And obviously if you want to go from like Paris to like Germany or Paris to any one of the European countries, they have a bus, most likely from the bigger cities, like I said, that go to those different regions. So what you'd have to do if you were staying in like a smaller city like Lyon, it's not that small, but it's smaller than Paris, you'd have to take a bus from Lyon to like Milan, and then from Milan to like Switzerland or Germany or wherever. Okay, so next up on my list, I have where to stay. So one of the first things I'm gonna mention are hostels. They are like hotels, but on a very, very good budget. So basically what a hostel is, it's like a room and there's a bunch of like bunk beds. I'll insert a picture here. And basically you just sleep in a room with a bunch of other people. But specifically the ones that we stayed at, one in Paris, specifically in Gentilly, it's called Joe and Joe. So I'll have it linked down below if you guys want to check it out. They had a few options, so you could either share a room with a bunch of people, and they'll have like, some places will have like curtains, they'll have like privacy, you know, quarters, whatever you want to call it. So it's not as bad unless like somebody like us, we were those people that came in at 2 in the morning and like woke everyone up. I felt so bad. Stayed the first night in Lyon, we stayed in an actual hostel, like in the sharing the rooms with people. And then the next day we actually just upgraded to a room just because it was me and my mom and we just wanted to chill. It wasn't that much more. It was like, I believe $10 for a bed to sleep on in the room, and then it was like euros, sorry. Like 30 euros to actually get like a whole room with your own bathroom and like all the towels and stuff. And they charge you for that stuff. So if you don't bring a towel, bring a lock if you plan on staying in these places because they will charge you. So just a heads up. Another thing that hostels have are they have parties, so they'll have like events and stuff on the weekends, or I think any day really. They'll have like kitchens, they'll have bars, they'll have basically anything you need. It's like a little mini apartment complex, but super affordable, and actually the people there are super like traveler friendly and like open to everything. So when we stayed in the one in Paris, we actually made like a few friends, and we were only there for 1 day. But we met a few Americans, we met people traveling to Germany, to like literally everywhere across the world. So it was really cool, definitely an eye-opener, and you get to meet a lot of people. Alright, and the next living situation, which is what I did for the most of the time, was a work exchange. So a lot of people were confused as to how I could afford to stay in France for over a month. And the truth is, I just kind of worked the whole time. I say work because I was there to like work, but at the same time I was like basically just living there and helping out a family. So what I did in specific was I went on workaway.com, which like I said, I'll have all this linked down below, and it's a site where basically you pay a fee for like a year. So I believe it's $50 for the whole year, and you get to like stay, you get to like message people. So what I did was I was looking on the site for people specifically in Lyon. So I was like looking for about 2 months until like a new person made like a little announcement thingy, and that's when I met Fenya and Tom. They were super kind, and we FaceTimed like before I went and everything, just to make sure it wasn't like sketchy. I mean, obviously you're staying at like a rando person's house in a whole other continent, which, saying it out loud, it sounds super scary, but you know, everything went fine. I would recommend, you know, obviously getting to know the people first, like through FaceTime and stuff. Stayed in a, well, I stayed in their 2-bedroom apartment, and they had a bathroom and a kitchen. And so the apartment styles, I will say, are very different than they are here. Their toilet room, like their toilet is in a separate room than their shower and stuff, so that's something that you get used to. But I will also do a video of like 10 things I wish I knew in France, so you guys should go watch that whenever I do it. I was taking care of their baby, and he was, I believe, 2 years old. If not, he was like 2, like in his almost 2. So yeah, definitely one of the best experiences in my life. I would so recommend doing a work exchange. You get to stay there for free for as long as you and the other party like agree to, and they like teach you stuff that you wouldn't normally know. If you want to learn French or wherever you're gonna stay at, they'll teach you like their language. You also get like tips and stuff as like what to do there that most tourist people wouldn't know about, you know what I'm saying? So you just get like immersed in the culture. And not to mention is that also if for the work exchange, they have tons of different options. So you can basically, I've seen a lot of gardening help stuff, house cleaning help stuff, cooking, like, but like basically you just help out the family. I was doing obviously like a babysitting type of job thing. They have language teaching if you're coming from abroad. So next off is the food topic. One of the biggest things I see people do is they'll eat out all the time at like, for example, if you go to like Paris, you know, some people will eat near the Eiffel Tower. What I would do is, since I was staying in Lyon specifically, I would go to the supermarket. There's a one called Lidl. Basically a little shop. They have like a bakery. Croissants are like 30 cents in euros, so that's like 40-50 cents American dollars, but still, like, for a big like croissant, and you can like pack a bag, you know, to go. Or they have like coffee, they have literally so many options, and like you know, to-go meals and stuff, so that's a good option to like cook. And if you are gonna go out to eat, McDonald's is also not cheap there, just because it's not like from there. So I assume that's why it's more expensive, but it's like, I don't know, it's not restaurant type expensive, but it's still pricier than what we're used to. Like there's no dollar menu, there's no such thing as a dollar menu, and they'll charge you for ketchup. So like I just can't. Okay, so last but not least, the last thing is touring. So basically what I would recommend is Google Maps. Basically they'll show you, like if you type in a city, they'll have like the most popular locations, or like the touristy locations that you can go to. I did this when we had like a day in every city, so a day in like Venice, a day in Rome, a day in Nice or Marseille. Definitely 10 out of 10 recommend. They give you like the directions. You can't get lost. I mean, I did, but that's just a me thing. Next are Facebook groups, which this is super random, but if you join Facebook groups, like for example, we joined a few that were like Brazilians in Lyon, so we met quite a lot of Brazilian people in France, which was actually super funny. We met a few in Paris too. We kind of just like walked up to some guys that were at the Eiffel Tower, and we heard them speaking Portuguese. We were like, oh, do you mind taking a picture? And then after that we like hung out the whole day. So we became friends with like random people. So like if you go to bar parties, so the drinking age there is 18, so as long as you're 18 you're good. Like you can go to bar parties and get to know people. And then also lastly, and this is how I made one of my really good friends from France, is to like DM people on Instagram, which might not work out for everyone. I don't know how it worked out for me. I was on Instagram and I searched up, you know, Lyon, like the city that I was staying in, and obviously people who were also there like popped up. So what I would do is like I'd comment on their pictures or like DM them and say, hey, you know, I'm staying in this city, what do you recommend to do? That kind of thing, you know. Okay, so after about 40 minutes of me squinting in the sun and like filming this video, I'm finally done. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it and you got tons of information out of this. And hopefully I get to travel to other places so I can do kind of like another experience guide for those places as well. And don't forget to like and subscribe to watch some more.